I couldn't be more fired up to be part of the full-time staff now, getting the opportunity to work closely with our tight ends and just watch them through the off season. Just excited to watch them improve this spring.
This is your first full-time job. What was that call like when you got that news?
I was back home in Texas, and so Coach Helton called me up and just said he had an opportunity for me, man. And I was fired up. It's what you work for. Long hours. There's a lot of time where you kind of sit and wonder, like, is this really happening? Is it going to happen? And it finally does. So, I couldn't be more grateful to Coach Helton and Coach Harrell just for their belief in me, and I'm excited to get going.
How are you trying to just develop your own rhythm as a position coach?
Really, it's just be yourself. Don't change. You got to this point by being you and being who you are as a person, and to me, that all starts and finishes with relationships. Developing relationships with our tight ends, with every player on our team, offense and defense. Just be the same guy. Don't change. That's what's gotten you to this point.
This league tight end didn't play a huge role in terms of catching passes last year. Do you foresee that maybe growing, or do you feel like you guys have settled into what the type of person is?
No, I think if you followed the offense, especially like our last year at North Texas, you got to see our tight end there. He played probably 85% of the snaps, and he was heavily involved in our passing game as well. We tell our guys, not only our tight ends, our receivers, running backs, in one of our first meetings, we always tell them, like, if you want to play, you have to prove to us that you make the unit better. And that goes for my guys as well. If they want to be more involved in the passing game, they got to show that they bring value to that. I think we got to a point last year to where we felt like we were a better offense with 4 true receivers on the field, so that's what we did. Until one of our guys steps up and shows that he can play, 80, 95% of the snaps, that's what we're going to do. And so my job is to work to get those guys to that point, because that's what we'd like to do. We'd like to stay in 11 personnel as much as possible, so we got to get to that point.
How much of that was related to health, though?
A little bit. We got banged up as a team, but really, I think it was just like I said. Who makes us best as an offense, and at that point in time, really felt like having 4 wide, 10 personnel on the field was our best option.
Have you put on any film of Daniel Baby from a couple of years ago? What do you think when you look at some of the stuff he was able to do?
Right. To be honest with you, I haven't. He and I have had several meetings just talking to one another, just getting to know each other as a person, because I don't want to get out there on that first day of spring ball and start coaching him, and he has no idea who I am as a person. So he and I, we've obviously talked X's and O's, but watching him as a player, that really didn't matter to me. I wanted him to have a good feeling for me of who I was, and I wanted to know who he was. That way, whenever I'm out there and I'm coaching him, he's not getting coached by some stranger.
Daniel's he's a pretty impressive dude. Is there an element that he brings to the room that maybe was missing last year?
Yeah. To be honest with you, he's got a level of maturity that you don't normally find in a college-age student. But he is a mature dude, and I think he's going to bring a level of leadership to our guys, and that's kind of the unique thing about our room right now. We've got 3 seniors with Daniel and Josh and Eric. So we've got some leadership in there, but I think he's gonna add kind of a different element. To be honest with you.
You guys brought a lot of
guys to his help.
He's good. He's good. Yeah.
You guys, offensive coaches, brought a lot of energy last year to the football program. Sensing a lot of energy from these new defensive hires. Are you guys feeling that as well?
Absolutely. You should walk in that office every morning. They got music blaring. They're ready to go. So to me, the thing, when you start making people better, you start getting really good competition. I think we're going to have really good competition in the spring. You add what we brought to the table last year and then bring it this year. I'm excited to see kind of how our 2 units go at each other, but also grow as a team, more importantly.
How would you describe your relationship with Harrell?
We're about as close as brothers as you can get without actually being brothers. We've known each other for a long time. The cool thing about us was our relationship was forged as a friendship before it was as colleagues. So we have a lot of trust in each other, and we're pretty close.
We talked to him about
this offseason and just the steady stream of offers to deal with. How often was he consulting with you and giving your advice? What was that like, seeing him go through that process?
I mean, we consult quite a bit about that kind of stuff. You know, like I said, we were friends before we were ever colleagues, and so he has a close-knit circle of people that he trusts. So when he goes through that stuff, he is he's very analytical in how he thinks about things. He tries to see things from every angle, and he was blessed with a lot of different offers. And when he sat down and looked at it, he thought this was the best one, and he didn't want to leave. His family's happy. We've got a great opportunity to be really, really good next year, and he believes in this place, and he knows how special this place is, and he wants to be here and make it as great as it can be.
Was it a little like, here we go again, each time that split up again?
To be honest with you, I mean, it's been like the last 3 years, but I will say this. I always trust him because more than likely his decision affects me. I always trust his decision. He's going to make the right one because, one, he is a man of faith. He's not going to do anything flying by the seat of his pants. He's going to think about it, and he's going to pray about it. He's going to do the right thing, not only for himself but for his family. And, you know, if he's going to do that, I trust anything he's going to do.
He said he never really considered himself as an NFL coach until maybe this offseason. Do you agree he's kind of got that college coach personality, I guess, from your perspective?
Well, when you grow up in a family of coaches like he has, I mean, his granddad was a Texas high school football coach. His dad's a Texas high school football coach. To be honest with you, I mean, that's what he grew up thinking he was going to be. So the NFL is probably the last thing on his mind, and he is truly an educator. He enjoys growing people and growing kids, and so, you know, I think I don't know that for a fact, but I don't think you get to do that as much at the NFL level, and so I think college fits him best because that's what he loves to do.
Last year, the tight ends only caught 15 passes. As a position coach, is that something you can lobby for, like, hey, our guys need to get more involved in the passing game?
Yes, a little bit, but also at the same time, it's like I said earlier, they got to prove that they're better, that they make the unit better. You know, we're not going to go in there and say we need more catches because we need more catches. We need to earn that right in practice. They need to make sure that they can make us more dynamic offensively. You know, last year felt like Drake London gave us a little bit of that, and he made us a little more dynamic, so that's why he started playing more. So we got to get our guys to a point to where they're going to make us better, and then that's where the production will come from.
What do you see in terms of making the offense more dynamic? In what ways can these tight ends do that?
The special things about our tight ends within the offense is they move around a lot formationally. They're in a lot of different spots, and when you get to that point, as far as preparing as a defense coordinator, trying to defend somebody, and you got a guy that never comes off the field, but they can do a lot of different things without switching out personnel, so that makes it very difficult for people. And so that's what we'd like to get to, and I think we're going to be able to.
Given the tight end usage in the passing game, what do you tell recruits when they're doing tight ends now about what they should expect or what they're coming into?
We tell them the same thing. I mean, we kind of refer back to our guy at North Texas. You know, this is what we want it to look like. We've got to get it to that point to where that's what it does look like. To where a guy, he's not coming off the field. He's in the backfield. He's blocking. He's playing the in line of scrimmage. He's split out wide in our trips and 2x2 stuff. So that's what we've got to get it to, and that's what we sell to guys. Like, if you want to come here and play 90% of the snaps, that's what we want, and that's what we want to be in offensively. We just need somebody to come do it, and we get our guys on campus to be able to do that, and I think they will.
Last season, it seemed like maybe some of the issues were discipline issues and whatnot, defensively and so on. But has there been anything that you guys have addressed this off season to ensure that this season is maybe a little bit more disciplined, penalty-wise?
Right. I think there's always a newfound sense for accountability. I think our strength staff and I think ours as a coaching staff has done that. But any great team, the difference between a good and a great team is not – it's when the coaching staff has to stop holding the team accountable and when they start doing themselves. And I think we're getting to a point to where we've developed some leaders on this team that I think are starting to hold kids accountable. And I think that's where we'll make the biggest jump, because we can preach it until we're blue in the face, but until our kids start doing it, that's when you're going to see the biggest difference.
Be able to share any names of guys that?
I'll keep it in-house then.
Okay.
Going back to your friendship with Graham, what was kind of the origin? What was the first time you guys really played?
So Graham and his younger brother Clark and I played together at Abilene Christian, and when Graham was still in the NFL, he used to spend his off seasons down in Abilene, Texas, and he and I just started hanging out. To be honest with you, we'd hang out in Abilene, Texas, and wasn't much to do, so we drive around town, and that's about it. That was about the extent of how it got started.
Did you have coaching aspirations then, even though that wasn't the nature of your relationship? You all thought that?
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to coach. That's what I knew I wanted to do. Honestly, I wanted to coach high school football, and that was always my goal. And really, kind of how the coaching deal got started. Him and his brothers used to have a passing camp down in Texas, and I'd work it every summer with them. And so I think that's kind of how the whole coaching relationship eventually got kind of came to fruition.
What was his pitch to you when he brought you here initially last year?
Really, when the whole thing got started, he asked me what I thought about it and had me kind of look at it, and I was like, man, I don't know what happened the year before, but I know they're really talented, and I think they would fit what we do really well. And you've turned down a lot of situations. I think this might be the one you might want to really consider. And once he came here and got a feel for Coach Helton and for this place, I think it was a no-brainer for him.
Both you and Harold mentioned the jump that this offense makes in the second season. Why in your opinion does that happen?
Really for two reasons. I think it's a continued buy-in from our players as far as understanding the simplicity of it. Most times for an offense when they come in from year one to year two, I think they get a whole new install of stuff they didn't even do the year before. When our guys show back up for spring ball, it's about to be the same stuff we did last year. Like nothing's going to change. But to me, the biggest difference of why the jump is from year one to year two, it's the second year in the system for the quarterback. And when he gets really comfortable and he starts understanding kind of the freedoms within the offense, because it is so simple, that's where the biggest jump is. And if you look at it, for us at North Texas, we got to play Mason Fine as a freshman. His biggest jump was from year one to year two. He kind of got to take his licks and his wounds, just like Keaton did a little bit last year, and made a huge jump. And so that's, to me, that's the biggest thing, is that quarterback gets a whole nother year in the system, and he makes the biggest jump, and it elevates everybody around him.
What was the process for you to feel comfortable coaching tight end? You have a mastery of what you needed to teach that position?
To be honest with you, working closely with Graham, you don't necessarily prepare yourself as a quarterback coach. You prepare as an offense coordinator. And just kind of like the quarterback of the offense, you better know everybody's job. And so working closely with him, I've honestly prepared to be a coordinator, be an offensive coordinator. And so I've known the job of everybody on the field. So to me, it's an easy transition.
What's probably the biggest difference for you becoming a full-time staff member? Did your mentality change or anything besides just the on-field coaching aspect of it?
No, to be honest with you. I mean, it's still the same thing. You're doesn't matter if I'm a GA, QC, or a full-time position coach. Your job is to create relationships with these kids, whether it's recruits, whether it's our players on campus. You got to build relationships with these kids. They got to trust you, and then you got to coach the heck out of them and push them as hard as you possibly can. But you can't do that unless they know that you love them. And so my mentality hasn't changed. That's kind of been my whole deal. That's why I got into this. I love building relationships with people, and so nothing changes for me.
Any story behind the name John David, one of the most famous?
No, it's my great granddad's name.
Not John David Crow or
No,
Great High School?
no.
Right, okay.
How do you address people that you've been close to, Graham? A lot of people wonder whether the air raid offense can actually win a national championship. How do you what's your perspective on why that you could win a national championship with the air raid?
Because it's been done before. The OU Sooners in 2001. Mike Leach was the offensive coordinator there before there, and it can be done. And I think there's I think what our offense does and what it is, it's got the perfect balance of, yes, it has an air raid basis as far as our passing game goes, but we believe in running the football. And I think that's kind of where the difference is, and kind of what that thought is, that it can't be done, but it can be.
How involved are you
One
with,
last question.
how involved are you with evaluating, helping evaluate other positions other than tight ends? Are you guys work together as a staff?
Right, so we sit down a lot as a staff when we evaluate every position. We've gone through every spot on offense, and we've watched it as a staff, created guys, identified who our dudes are, and we go after them.
Great.
Appreciate it.